this is something I should probably already
If you
work
don't
out,
agree,
but
can you mention it in your at your time?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay, that's better. Okay.
just for timing restraints
Yeah,
for the
that's
hour.
I do agree that we all have our fears. We fear many different things in our lives. Failure is probably the most common one, along with spiders, but we want to impress people in our lives. We want to excel. We want better things for ourselves. I don't think that's necessarily a fear that controls our life. I take that as a momentum, something that pulls me forward, that drives me into life. Fear does not control what I do. I mean, I don't like failure. I don't want to fail. I guess I have a fear of that. But I'm here. I get up every day. I go to work. I go to school. I go and I meet new people. I'm afraid to do all of that stuff. Do not let it control my life. If I allowed it to control my life, those fears, I would never leave my house. I'd probably leave the lights on because I'd be afraid of the dark too. I would never have a phone because I would have to have somebody in my home. If I allowed those fears to control my life, I might as well just crawl in a hole and die. I see fear as, if you let it control your life, I see it as you being a lazy person. There's medicines out there, there's psychologies out there. There are people who have such a fear of something, have been able to face it and overcome it because they tried, because they made that effort, got up and did something about it. They didn't let that fear control their lives. That's why I think it's a state of mind. It's not an all-encompass, oh my God, I can't do anything about it. My life will end today. You can't do that. You have that control. Don't be lazy. Get up there and do something about it. You don't like spiders? Go look at a couple pictures. Eventually, you'll be able to do that and breathe. Then maybe get a little baby one. Scream, pass out, whatever, but you can eventually, you'll touch it. Maybe one day you'll have a little big hairy one just crawling all over you. You can do it. It takes time, but you can do it. Don't be lazy. I saw this quote, and it's from Children's Past Lives. I just thought it was an interesting one. It says, most fears and phobias can all be brought back to the same thing, a fear of not having control of the situation or aspect of self. The phobia then becomes a product of that fear as we concentrate and focus all of our energy on that one thing. You're creating it. You're allowing it. You're being lazy by not doing anything about it. I found this quote, and I thought this one was a little bit interesting, from George S. Patton. There is time to take counsel of our fears, and there is time to never listen to any fear. These things, to me, they're very empowering. They just remind me that fear is a state of mind. You can overcome it. You can control it. It does not control you. It does not control the people around you. You'd be lucky if you can control the people around you. I still say, fear, to me, is, like I said, I have my own fears. And I do not let them stop me from doing what I want to do. I mean, I may not speed because I have a fear of getting a speeding ticket, but that's also obeying the law. That's going to be for my safety. So that's not controlling my life. That's merely not killing somebody, killing myself, or having to pay $400. I like speed. Death, religion, government, failure. How much stuff do you think you can control in life? I mean, we can control ourselves. We can't control the things around us, but we can certainly control ourselves. I think I'll end it with that.
Good afternoon. All right. First, to address some of the things that have already been brought out. In regard to law, the statement was that law is not a fear, law is something that is implemented by a government, and that statement is true. The emphasis there is the fear of breaking that law and the repercussions or the results of breaking that law. And in my information that I'm going to present to you, I'm going to give you some examples of breaking the law and what kind of society we would live in if we didn't have fear ruling our lives to keep us within means, being human, having ethics, having things of that sort, like our values and so forth. Also, it was mentioned that fear benefits us. I'm also going to discuss that. An example I'll give now of fear benefiting us is the fact that fear is something that is within our emotions, it's within our nervous system. If I see a lion coming at me, I'm going to freeze and run the other direction. I'm not going to go and stand there and let the thing maul me. Thank God for fear that my brain said, there is danger, run. Otherwise, I'm going to go, ah, that hurts. Fear, Estelle mentioned that she believes that fear can benefit us, that fear, you can't overcome fear. And a point that I really want to emphasize on that, there are cases absolutely where we can all overcome some of our fears. But what determines when to overcome that fear or not? It is the fear of the opposite. So for an example, if I fear being lazy more than I fear getting up and coming to work today, I'm going to get up and come to work today. The fear of the opposite motivates me to do the other action. So you have to choose which fear is more detrimental to you. Let's see. Oh, so that having been said, I'd like to present to you my topic of fear displeasing others. Fear of displeasing others does benefit us. How so? Let me give you an illustration. I come into work and I have a conversation with my boss. My boss and I don't see things eye to eye. We have a difference in opinion. My boss has had enough of me voicing my opinion, and they state to me, look, here's how it is, and that is that. Now I have a choice. My choice is to fear, to retaliate to that laying down of the law and say, oh, no, let me tell you how it's going to be. Or I can fear, and in doing so, I can fear getting fired and losing my job. So I think most of us in that case would say, yeah, probably not a good idea to retaliate and to tell your boss, no, let me tell you what's going to happen here, because of fear. In that sense, fear affected our life. It affected whether or not we're going to have a job, what kind of relationship we're going to have with our boss, and so forth. Another illustration I'd like to give you, or an example, is I'd like to ask you guys, how many of you, when a teenager or young adult, would have loved to go to that wild party on that weekend that your friend was throwing because his parents were out of town? Or you wanted to go get that tattoo because everybody else was getting a tattoo, or you just personally were like, look, I love tattooing, it's my thing, I'm going to get this design, and so you contemplated that. Or you thought, I am going to go raid my parents' liquor cabinet and have myself a drink and have a good old time. What prevented you from doing those things? Fear of displeasing your parents, perhaps. Fear of getting that tattoo and going, oh my God, what was I thinking when I turned old? This is going to be wrinkly and ugly. Or fear of starting yourself on a really bad habit of being an alcoholic. It could have been multiple things. But again, you weigh the pros and you weigh the cons. Fear of the opposite